What up, y'all? You tuned in to the 52 Scott Podcast. Welcome to this edition of Black Friday. I'm your host, Slash, and with me I got Comedian 96, K Money, and Freddie G. Together, we the Mind of Men. Don't forget to like and subscribe, plus follow us on Twitter, 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. All right, and welcome back to Black Friday. So, as a culture of people, we came a long way through a lot of, I guess I would say, disparity, us not having certain things, us as a culture of people not having good paying jobs, us coming from slavery, us getting to a point to where we're not in slavery. So, I mean, a lot has transpired since the Civil Rights Act was passed, which was in 1964, which we grew up not much after the Civil Rights Act. So before the Civil Rights Act, you had so many people, like in the 40s, black women worked as domestic servants. So they was in the households of the, Caucasian people doing maid work, right, cleaning up the houses and stuff like that. So, and they worked for a small percentage of money. They didn't make a lot of money, Right. So that was back then, before the Civil Rights Act was passed. If we look at it now, black women are almost 80% of black women are actually now working good jobs, damn near better jobs than the men, because what they do, they will get up and go do what they supposed to do, So they've made it to a point to where they can actually, get the good jobs and still get fair pay according to what was going on before the Civil Rights Act.
I mean, you got to look at the vice president now.
Yeah,
is a female.
Right.
So that says a lot.
Right,
right
says
there.
a lot. Yeah. So they came a long way, even through civil rights movement and trying to get certain laws and stuff passed for women, as well as just blacks as of a whole, trying to get further in life. But I mean, I think it's we've had a black president, which kind of helps the race a little bit, So getting to that point, I mean, back then they never would have thought it would have been a black president, considering the fact that we were slaves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, you had some black people that were free, back then, that had businesses, and that was where a portion of the only reason they were having businesses was because they couldn't go into these white-owned establishments to purchase products. So they had to make their own, so they can have stuff. But these people had money where they could buy, they could take care of what they need to take care of. So everybody wasn't broke, basically what I'm trying to say. But
we went from being low class to middle class.
Right. And that explains the where we got to go part,
right,
because it's not a big percentage of black billionaires.
No, it's not.
As it should be or could be.
Right. I agree.
And that's a whole different step in life, which I understand. But yeah, we still got a long way to go. We haven't made it to those, top tier statuses as far as the amount of us having the type of money to help and give back to the community, to help those that don't have, That's where we have to get. That's one of the places we need to get. But considering, again, back in civil rights days, we had so far to go. We've overcome some of that by just people had marches and trying to get the right presidents in office or getting the right government, basically, to assist with whatever you needed done. So this is what started the civil rights people like Martin Luther King. Had a lot to do with helping civil rights movements and blacks being respected in working class, white collar, basically.
Right.
Not just, oh, you're a slave and we can't pay you the type of money you're supposed to get. So, a lot of those, Martin Luther King had a lot to do with that. So, rest in peace, Martin Luther King, and his son just recently passed. I just want to mention that. But that's an important part of our past. So we can't forget about our past. We gotta continue to move forward and continue to do better in every aspect of everything that we do as black people, and even just us working together on certain type of stuff. We need to know how to, hey man, we need to stick together more, because what I see is most cultures, like the Asian culture, these people, hey man, they stick together. They shop within their own, they got their own Chinatown.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? They got their own restaurants.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got their own grocery stores. We can't pronounce the thing hung long is the name of that goddamn.
Yep.
Who go to shop at Thing Hung Long?
They have the best.
Thing Hung Low, I think it is.
Yeah, they got the best fish in there. They have all that fish up in there.
But I'm saying they stick together as a culture of people, which helps
And they
them.
do.
So this is the part where we need to this is where we need to get past. And I think if we can get past this, we can get further. So soon as the money hit the black community from our jobs and wherever we get paid from, that shit go right back to the white man. Cause we got to go buy this, we got to pay these bills, we can't go to our partner and say, hey man, I want you to build this for me, man. I'm gonna pay you for this.
Right.
We don't keep the money in our community.
community.
It does not stay in the black community. So that's the part where we have so far to go in understanding, first off, because if you don't understand it, there is no way you can put it in effect. So somebody's got to say, hey, we need to start figuring out how to keep the money in our community and using the money amongst ourselves. So they did this little thing while COVID went on, which I like, support your black community, your black businesses and stuff like that. Restaurants, every week they would support a certain 3 or tell you, hey, go here, go there. So that's a part of it. And I think that was Kathy Hughes that was talking about that, which she is really proactive on black stuff, the BET, one of the owners of BET. But those are the types of things that we have to do in order to understand where we need to go first. We need to start keeping the money in our community. We don't keep it in the community. Some of the things that we purchase, we need to start thinking about, okay, we go and buy a car. Why not go to the black man car dealership? Because we have a problem dealing with the black man. Why do you have a problem dealing with the black man? Because you think the black man trying to get over on you? Some of us, I think, need to be more understanding than judgmental when it comes to this type of stuff, because we'll let our judgment keep us from going and finding a good deal because we think the black man gonna get over on us.
I agree with you, Slash.
I
I think
agree.
that's one of the issues, thinking the black man is gonna get over. Another one is, we looking for the hookup.
Right.
Instead of supporting and
Yeah.
paying possibly whatever, this black business is charging, we always want to get, assistance.
Right.
Truly supporting them is paying their prices. Why should they have to drop their prices? Because we don't ask those white folks to do that when we shopping with them or anything on that nature.
So, and not to cut you off, here's one of the issues of why the prices cannot be cut. Because the stuff that we want to sell, when we want to put it in our community, we have to go to another community to get, which in that community, it's already marked up because our color before we even get it. So we have to pay higher prices when it gets into our community because they've been charged higher prices from the community that they bought it from. So we in trouble before we even get in there. That's why I say we got to understand what we up against in order to fight it. And the only way we can fight it is we got to own stores. We got to buy our own stores, support our own. That's the only way it's going to happen. Until we do that, we going to forever. That's where we stopped. So, if we pick up where we left off, then maybe we get somewhere, but we just not spending money with our own kind.
And I totally agree with you. When I do comedy shows, the vendors I use, the club.
Right,
I
you
may
use black people.
Black club.
Right.
We're going to do a crawfish and comedy show. I didn't talk to you about it probably in May. I'll use a black vendor to serve the crawfish. Most of my comedians are black. However, I'll go with the best of the best.
Right.
I don't care color on when it comes to the actual entertainment. But everything that surrounds it, food, drinks, menu, everything else, correct. I try to keep it in
in the community.
In the community,
right?
Exactly.
And that's what helps our business thrive when we respect each other like that, to use each other in a business fashion. You know, I think that's gonna help us in the long run succeed everything else, because when we work with it, we don't have to cheat each other.
No,
you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, man, most black people, and I've dealt with black companies and like you say, we looking for the deal. Right. But then again, too, if you're the business owner and you're the black man that is a business owner, you're going to give this man something better anyway to keep him there with you as business, depending on what type of business you have.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it all works hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's both factors got to be on the same page. Yeah. It can't just be, oh, I'm getting paid because I'm the man that does this in your community. But then what are you going to do with that money when you get it? So are you going to help your community?
I got a question. Before I ask the question, you mentioned Kathy Hughes and you're associated with BET. She's actually a TV One, I think.
Radio One.
Radio One.
Oh, Radio One.
Yeah, and her son is now like taking over in a high position or whatever, something like that, dealing with that. But anyway, so you mentioned past and you mentioned Martin Luther King and where we are today. And K-Money, you mentioned having a black woman, a woman of color, as vice president.
Right.
So let me ask, this may seem like a stupid question, and I'm using stupid loosely, but from then until now, how do you think, what have we done to get to where we are? What is the main component? What is the main thing that y'all think we've done to get from there to where we are now?
I'll say we went to work.
Okay. What do you say?
Man, this is a hard one.
Just one main thing.
I'll say, like he said, constantly grinding.
Okay. K-Money?
Yeah.
Work?
Yeah, work.
Okay. Here's what I say. First of all, contrary to what people think about black folk, that we're lazy, I think we've always worked. It's proven when that we built this country. Mm-hmm. So we've been working our ass off.
Right.
So contrary to what the stereotype that goes with black folk, we're not actually lazy.
No way at all.
I think the one key component that we did and that Martin Luther King fought for, along with John Lewis, God rest his soul, is what we need to continue to do. We voted. We voted. And because we voted, a lot of the stuff is changed.
Right.
Now, we got a long way to go, but by going to the polls to vote and getting people in the right places, that actually helps to change.
Right.
Now, in regards to what you were saying, Slash, about spending $1, and you used hung low, thung hung low.
Thing hung low.
Yeah, thing hung low,
Yeah.
right? I think that us as a community, I don't think that we really I think the financial literacy plays a huge part.
Very huge
and having
part.
to be and understanding financial literacy in order to recycle the black dollar. So
And that may be true. And if that is true, then we need to start researching.
I mean,
Financial.
it goes hand, not to cut you off, but just like you mentioned earlier, once we get that money, what are we doing with it?
We go and spend it back
And then
with the other people.
And then Freddie G, I agree with you with the voting. I do. But do you think we're actually voting correct? Are we just going there every 4 years? Are we doing it every 2 years with the legislative?
Well, people who understand voting understands that it's not all. It's not
speaking
so,
of black folks.
Yeah, that's what, hear what I'm saying.
Okay.
People
Okay.
who understands voting, and and I know this is Black Friday, so I'm speaking about our black folk, the people, right, that understand voting. They understand it's not just the general election; it's the midterms.
Yeah. A lot
You know,
of I don't
so-
think a lot of us know that. I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
why.
with
That's why.
agree.
you.
You know, no.
Okay,
That's why
okay.
I said people who understand.
Right. And the show is about progress. Am I correct?
Right.
So I don't think we're there as far as maybe the 4-year terms, but as far as the midterms, I don't think we're there.
No,
So-
no, we're not. We're not there. We're not there. Like we know Super Tuesday just passed.
Right.
Right.
Just passed. Yep.
Now, I know I did my part.
I can guarantee you.
I know I did my part.
If we did a poll, we'll
Now-
probably
now-
be
now-
below 10%.
Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Let me just touch on this, and then slash. You know, you do your thing, or whatever. But we know that we coming up with the presidential election coming up, and everybody's up and on Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and Joe is too old, and so and so and so and so. Right. I just mentioned one of the components that I think that got us from then into now. Is voting, right? Now, when Slash mentioned Martin Luther King, I piggyback. Not only did I mention Martin Luther King and agree, but I also mentioned John Lewis, right? Well, for people who would go into the polls and may be interested in voting for Donald Trump, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but let me tell you this. Donald Trump did not support John Lewis's Voting Act.
No.
There's something to think about.
Something to think about.
Right.
It is.
He didn't support it.
So if you're going out and voting for Donald Trump again, and we know that the Voting Act comes up every so often.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we need something better than what's in there now. You know, I just think that who we have in office now is just not suitable for the position. You know, and I think this is on a mental and physical stage, not just saying, oh, because the man is old. Well, I mean, his characteristics shows he's not, you know, he can't really do the job as well as, you know, there are other candidates. We just need those candidates to step up and be a better candidate than what we have that's able to run, that's also able to get back in office, you know, if that makes sense. But again, you know, we have to do much better as far as even communicating these issues, because most people in our communities, like you say, they don't understand when it's time to vote, and just voting for the presidential election is not going to be enough.
It's not
You're
enough.
going to have to vote in your state and everything, you know,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to change your life. Voting in your state, you know, not necessarily the presidential races. That's not going to change your life, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, we got to understand, black people, when you're voting every 4 years, it's just putting the icing on there. The cake is really the midterms.
Right.
That's the cake. So please vote every 2 years.
Make sure your
Yes.
government of your city or your state is the right person that's going to push the right laws to pass and help you get your taxes right and not taking too much of your money and all kind of stuff. That's what we need to be concerned with, as well as trying to grow businesses and also, you know, using black business and you know, spending money with the black businesses just so we can grow our community. And I'm not saying that don't go spend money on other stuff, because of course there's no way we can keep all the money in the black community. It's never been done. It never will be.
Right.
You know, so we're going to have to spend, because the bills, we don't own the electric companies. You feel what I mean? We don't own the gas companies. We don't own the land that the leasing
Lease,
come
yep.
from. We don't own none of that.
None of that.
So we have to think in a different manner in order to sustain and have money in our community. We have to spend it with our black business, but we got to spend it with the right black businesses, the ones that we see giving back to the community or trying to help somebody that come in there that's not always trying to dig in your pocket every time you walk in there. They nice, they cordial, which, you know, you want to go somewhere where you respect it. You respect this business. These are the people that we need to start doing business with, or using their businesses, whether it's a restaurant or something, just shopping with the black man, just to keep our black communities uplifted and keep us looking in the right direction. Because a lot of times if we don't do that, we're going to be lost. And we've seen that because it's been happening for the years now. You know, as long as we're not on the same page, we're never going to get there as a culture of people. You know, so what that does is brings me to my black fact that you can't take back. So I want to talk about the executive director of National Urban League in 1961, which is Whitney Young Jr. Now, he was responsible for seeing the integration of corporate workplaces throughout his 10 years in position. So basically, he was the one that was making sure it was black people that work for these companies. You're gonna have to have this amount of black people as well as this amount of white people, this amount of women. You know what I mean? So he was over that for 10 years. So that's what I want to talk about. And he goes along with the topic this week because that's a part of us getting where we need to get by allowing everybody to work and be inclusive in a workplace without, you know, saying, oh, well, we don't want black people to work for us. You know, because it's kind of rude if you ask me, because we are more qualified at a lot of stuff than a lot of people.
This is the rule they just didn't they
Ended it, right?
They just
that's
the
the
same
name.
rule.
What was the term for it?
I forget what it was called.
Diversity.
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give a shout out to Whitney Young Jr. because that helped us get to where we are now. And we just have to know the steps that we need to get a little bit further. Y'all come check us out next week. Peace. So that's going to do it for this episode of Black Friday. Hit that like button and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, The 52 Scott Podcast. On Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. Check us out on Monday for Music Mondays. See y'all then.
So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint.